Welcome to my farmhouse kitchen. I'm Suzanne, and today we're making an Eggs Benedict Strata. This is a perfect make-ahead meal that is easy to assemble the day before, and then the morning of, we're just going to be popping this in the oven, and this is going to allow us to spend a lot more time with our family and not so much time in the kitchen, but a hearty and filling breakfast. I'm going to be using this beautiful Dutch baking dish, and we're going to start out by buttering our casseroles. For this recipe, we'll be using between 6 and 8 English muffins, depending on the size of your casserole dish. I ended up using 8, and we're just going to be dicing these. Next, we're going to be using about 2 cups of diced ham. I just bought this ham at the grocery store, and you could also use bacon or breakfast sausage, whatever you want. Then we're going to be shredding up about 2 cups of cheese, and I'm just using mozzarella, but I feel like a Swiss cheese could go really, really well with this dish as well. And then we need to break up 8 eggs, and then we're going to be combining it with 2 cups of milk and 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. To this, I'm going to be adding about half a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of Dijon or grainy mustard, and salt and pepper to taste. And then we're going to be layering our casserole dish and then putting this egg mixture over top of all of it. I kind of like to eyeball things instead of doing perfect measurements, so you can do the same if you feel so inclined. Next, we're going to be taking our buttered casserole dish and then starting to layer with half of our English muffin cubes, half of our ham, and half of our cheese, and then doing a second layer over top of that. Every single Christmas, my brother always made Eggs Benedict for breakfast, and it's just such a classic in our family, especially at Christmas time, but it is very time-consuming to make it for a lot of people. And so this strata is just a way around having to make individual portions for each person. And I feel like you could definitely tweak this to your liking. And I would love to have diced tomato on top, fresh after it's baked. And there's just so many ways that you could make this your own. Next, we're going to be pouring this egg mixture over top. And we kind of want to get it on all of those bits and pieces. So just putting it around everywhere, and then we're going to be covering this with saran wrap and putting this in the fridge overnight. And this is the best part of making a strata, is that you make it the day ahead and then you don't have to do much the next day, and you have a delicious breakfast. I've taken the strata out of the fridge first thing this morning and let it come to room temperature. And now I'm going to be putting it into my preheated oven at 375 for 40 to 50 minutes. And this is going to allow me time to make the hollandaise sauce. I'm doing a mock hollandaise sauce that'll be a little bit easier and not so troublesome as a real hollandaise sauce. And so we're just going to pop this into the oven now. While this is baking, I'm going to make a nice pot of chai tea, and I'm going to set the table so that it will be ready for this beautiful strata breakfast. The recipe for the Eggs Benedict strata and the mock hollandaise sauce will be down in the description box below. We're going to start out by making a white sauce. We're using 6 tablespoons of butter, and to that we're adding 4 tablespoons of flour and a teaspoon of salt. And we're going to be staying by this constantly and whisking because we don't want anything to burn. Typically, this would be done in a double boiler, but we can do this on the stove as long as we're careful and we stay here. Now we're going to add the 1 1/3 cups of milk, and this is going to make a white sauce. Now we're just going to continue stirring this until it thickens. Our white sauce has thickened, and this is quite thick, so I'm going to add a little bit more milk to this. I want my white sauce to drizzle nicely. So that's a little bit more what I'm looking for. Oh, now we're going to add the 2 tablespoons of lemon juice to this mixture, stirring the whole time. We don't want this to curdle. Okay, the next step is that we want to temper our eggs. So we want to just add a little bit of the white sauce to the eggs, a little bit at a time, and start getting it to the temperature of the white sauce. And this just helps your eggs not cook in your sauce and turn into little egg clumps. Okay, now we're going to pour that in. And we're just going to continue stirring this for a couple of minutes to really let the egg cook in that sauce. So there is our finished sauce. And I really like that consistency because it's going to drizzle nicely. I checked on this after 50 minutes, but the center was still a little bit milky looking, and so I popped it in for an extra 15 minutes. And you just want it to be nice and firm with a toothpick or a knife coming out clean in the center. And our strata is done. It is golden and beautiful. And now I'm going to bring this over to the table. Unfortunately, I'm all by myself this morning. My husband was out snow plowing and both of my kids were not home. So they enjoyed this later on. But for now, I'm just going to be enjoying this all by myself. This had a little bit of creaminess to it, and it was just absolutely delicious. And the only thing I would do differently would be that I would probably put some diced tomato on top, because I really like tomato slices with my Eggs Benedict. But this is definitely something to try. Thanks so much for hanging out with me in my farmhouse kitchen today. I really hope you'll give this recipe a try. It's a good one. And if you enjoyed this, consider hitting the subscribe button. I share videos every week on homemaking, food from scratch, and life on our farm.